Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be doing a channeled love letter from your person. There are 4 groups to choose from. Group 1 is this letter, along with this quartz point. Group 2 is this letter, along with this quartz point. Group 3 is this letter, along with this quartz point. And group 4 is this letter, along with this quartz point. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. Hi, Group 1. You chose this quartz point, along with this letter, which I will read in just a minute. I'm going to start with a few oracle cards to get kind of an energy check-in with your person right now, just a general overview of some of the major themes of what might be going on with them currently. Okay, we have freedom. I possess the power and the free will to create my own happiness. Guilt. I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. Denial. I acknowledge my fear, but I replace it with the insight of awareness. And trust. I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. So this can really tie into with the sense of trust and denial. It's really bringing to mind the opinions of outside parties that have either influenced this person's approach to you in the situation up to this point in time, where maybe they got some bad advice or were even just kind of misled in a very innocent way by people who didn't necessarily understand the nature of the connection, maybe had perhaps ulterior motives. If this had been somebody who maybe had feelings for this person or who had designs on them and kind of wanted to be partnered or paired up with them, like an ex that they have remained friends with for some of you, that they are kind of turning to as a confidant, turning to for advice in this situation that may have caused them to hold back or to not act at some point in time towards you, or to, express a certain something towards you at a certain point. And there's almost a sense of clarity with this idea of freedom, where this person is starting to see that maybe this person that they turn to for advice, or the opinion of this particular person or group of people, that it was coming with like strings attached, or it wasn't necessarily in accordance with this person's highest good and like the truth of their soul, the truth of their heart. This may also tie into the idea of freeing themselves in general from like people-pleasing tendencies, a sense of somebody who just who has a lot of difficulty sort of trusting their own intuition, trusting their own heart. They have to like run it by a lot of different people. They may be getting advice from a lot of different people, really second guessing themselves. If this is something, even for some of you, this is something where they may have been getting like readings or doing divination on the situation, and they were really mistrusting the information that's come through, and they're needing like validation after validation, kind of like somebody that asks for signs and confirmations from spirit, and then that comes in and they're asking for more and more confirmation. They're sort of like not leaning on that internal compass that is pointing them in the direction to move, and instead are kind of outsourcing that, but with a very kind of like limited ability, it feels like recently, or even just in general, to be very discerning of the kind of information they're taking in, the sources that they are turning to for that guidance and advice, or even like if they are turning to their higher self or spirit. It's tying into a bit of kind of like buried fear within themselves that they may have been in denial about, where they're trusting these obvious kind of like signs and nudges that may have been encouraging them to bring forth an apology if this is a no contact situation, that might have been urging them to reconnect, to move toward reconciliation, to open up about feelings, to develop the situation further. If this is somebody you're currently dealing with, maybe it's a crush situation and they have had this kind of urge to move towards you, bring these feelings out into the light, and yet they've second guessed themselves, or somebody or something has kind of steered them in an opposite direction, or even kind of sowed these seeds of confusion, maybe even just in a very innocent or benign manner, that kind of has this person just sort of wrapped up and very unsure who to trust, what to trust, which direction to go. They're just kind of spinning their wheels at this point in time. There's a sense of guilt and shame maybe about this aspect of things, a bit of not wanting to bring forth some kind of truth and clarity, that their actions in the past may have resulted from the influence of other people, maybe even just again like friends who they were turning toward, trying to get advice from, people who had limited information, or who themselves were kind of embittered toward love and partnership, kind of like misery loves company, and the advice they had given to this person in regards to the connection in the past wasn't coming from neutral ground. It wasn't coming from a high vibrational place, and it feels like there's been clarity about that, or just some kind of a sense of awareness that whatever wrong turn was taken in the situation previously, it's kind of been the road to nowhere. It has not in fact led to this person being able to detach from their feelings, for example. It has not led them in the direction of perhaps another connection that is more fulfilling. It feels like a lot of loneliness at this point in time, where they're kind of just, they back themselves into a corner, and there's almost a sense of like, how do I untangle myself? How do I free myself from this? How do I backtrack and get to that crossroads point to make a different decision? Admitting this, bringing this forth into the light. This may have been someone that like ghosted you, blocked you, cut off communication very abruptly. They may be very guilty, feeling very ashamed about like speaking that truth, expressing what motivated that as kind of the necessity of clearing the slate with you, or bringing forth some kind of truth. They're going to have to explain themselves in some manner. It feels like a situation for a lot of you where they can't just say, hey, how's it going? And then everything gets back to a state of normal, unless it's like a crush situation, and then it may even just be kind of like guilt within themselves. There may not be anything to apologize for, but it's almost just a sense of having wasted time up to this point, and that they're having a hard time forgiving themselves for that, for creating unnecessary stumbling blocks for themselves, kind of missing a window of opportunity, and now they've got to start again. Now they've got to replan or recalculate and hopefully make a different choice moving forward. But for others of you who are currently dealing with this person, it may be that they're having to fess up about something, come clean about something, express something to you that they had maybe involved third parties in the situation, or had just really not been like trusting in their own heart, trusting in their own instincts, allowing fear even to be that kind of driving force and factor that has led to them being in a state of inaction, or anything that has been very confusing or misleading on their part. And then especially if it's something where it's a no contact situation, it feels like for a lot of you, this was somebody who gave them kind of like wrong advice, very kind of skewed advice that was not coming from a high vibrational place, or that was just coming from a very uneducated place. They may have given very little background, kind of like the omission of facts in certain ways. And so people could have really created a distorted opinion, like the information or the guidance that they were giving, it wasn't coming from a place of like full truth and clarity. Had that been the case, had all of those little sort of nuances been explained, these individuals may have given a very different bit of advice, but it almost feels like self-protective mode that this individual was in, if it's like a no contact situation where they're trying to almost paint themselves in a better light, put themselves on that higher ground, and almost looking for people to kind of commiserate with them or have some kind of a pity party with them. But the dazzle of that has sort of worn off to a certain extent, and now there's this energy of, how do I free myself from this? How do I undo what has been done in the past? This no longer feels good. Maybe they were operating out of like a fearful or a wounded place, something that, as the dust has settled a bit, as kind of the heightened emotions, this like fight or flight response has kind of cooled down a sense. Now they're finding themselves removed from you in the connection a bit, and it's like, okay, how do we get back to the start? How do I earn this person's trust back? How do I move through this energy of kind of like guilt and shame, maybe feelings that were denied in the past, to be able to create different results at this point based on the history and what has kind of happened recently or overall as sort of like the trend in this situation. So I'm going to read the channeled love letter from their higher self now and see, what does this person want to tell you? We are at such a tender stage of our situation that I scarcely breathe too deeply in the direction of my hopes of what we will become, for fear of crushing these tender shoots in their green infancy. I want to lay a strong foundation with you, and the best equipment I have at my disposal is a handbook of what not to do in the pursuit of allowing love to bloom. I have been reckless in romance in my past, and I am trying patience out for a change. It's getting harder to resist diving completely into the thought of you. I am scared of losing myself in love again. There are seeds of bitterness which have taken root in my courage center that cloud my perception of how much to give and what to hold back. Your openness of heart and the purity of your good nature are so strange to me. I have not encountered anyone like you before. I look at the cups I once poured myself into, and all I see now is imbalance where there should have been reciprocity. I want to learn of the bright side of love to counteract all of this illusion. I hope that the simplicity of the open arms I bring to you are enough to fulfill your need for reassurance that you are all I see now. We have both had our fair share of heartbreak. We both deserve the opportunity to turn the page on what we have known love to be so far. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got H, Q, R, A, Z, E, I, M, X, N, and U. So those are your messages, and that is your channeled letter. I hope that the reading resonated with you and that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading or a personalized channeled letter, I offer both through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and as I said, channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, where I do pick a card and general energy readings about different kinds of subjects such as spirituality, ascension, self-love, and wellness. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. There's a link for that in the description box of the video as well as in the channel section of my page. And I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose this quartz point along with this letter, which I'll read in just a minute. I'm going to start with a few oracle cards to get just like a quick energy check-in with this person, see what some of the major themes that they are dealing with in their life right now are. Okay, we have pride. I love myself and I see myself in everyone. Peace. I am a being of love and I release all negative energy. Envy. I am the same as everybody but with different challenges. And service. I feel good when I can help others. So this feels to be an energy of someone who may have been resisting their feelings or resisting the connection, running from you, running from the truth of desires that they have in this situation, a future that they envision for themselves and you, that may have really triggered some deep-seated sort of like fears and insecurities within them. Maybe a prolonged period of like push-pull dynamic, a hot-cold dynamic, ghosting, blocking, any of that, or somebody just really sort of like sitting on the fence about taking the situation to the next level. If this is somebody you're currently dealing with, or even like a crush situation, they've just kind of been in this energy of watching from afar, watching and waiting, but taking very little action towards you. There seems to have been some sort of breakthrough for that it feels like is most likely stemmed from kind of this aha moment that if they don't act or do something to kind of like backtrack in this situation or make their feelings known, it's kind of like speak now or forever hold your peace kind of energy. They may have witnessed almost some kind of like a glow up within you, something that they are seeing that their resistance to these feelings or the resistance to sort of you and the connection, it's not serving their higher good. It's not actually in service with the truth of these feelings, that despite kind of this chaos and the efforts to kind of cover that up, mask that, or move off in another direction, nevertheless these feelings persist. They accompany this person, they follow them. Pride and ego may have been something they were struggling with before, maybe kind of like too proud to say they were sorry. Opening up about deep feelings might have been way outside of this person's comfort zone, and you have stirred something within them, or even just unactualized potential in this circumstance has really triggered blocks, barriers, and prohibitions within them that have them feeling that they're almost like not good enough for a higher vibrational love. They may be very used to like conditional love, toxic love, surface level love, and yet there's something of like this higher nature, this element of like internal peace, and yet at the same time this very empowered energy that they feel around you that might make them very conflicted. This could be somebody that they haven't experienced this depth or level of love with anyone before. Even it feels like even if this is someone that's been married before or they've been in like long-term relationships, it may have been something which just kind of like served the surface level needs of both parties. It was something that was of like mutual benefit from like a keeping up with the Joneses type thing, or it was something that just made sense on paper. And although there may have been like sparks of connection at one point in time, it just didn't. And there may have been like other senses of like duty and obligation, shared interests, shared responsibilities. It was just something that they never really were able to tap into this deep layer of feelings with one another. Two people who almost just were kind of like business associates within the context of the relationship, rather than kind of like having that best friends and lovers energy too. Contrary to that, contrary to their history and their experience, it's almost like you check off a lot of boxes for them and things on like a spiritual level, on an energetic level, that they didn't even know were attainable within romances. They may have people that they feel deeply spiritually connected to, like a deep affinity, platonic relationships, maybe even some familial connections. But to have somebody who kind of like covers all of that ground in one person, it almost feels like something that it felt too precious for what they were deserving of. They almost didn't know how to like handle this, and it really kind of like opened the door to a lot of aspects of self about where they may have been settling, where they may have just been kind of like searching for things that met those kind of like surface level egoic needs at the expense or at the deprivation of more of these intangible emotional or spiritual needs within themselves. And so it feels like something that they had tried almost in the past to sort of push this away or stuff it down. But there's been some kind of like breakthrough energy, maybe even through you detaching from the situation, setting your sights elsewhere, having a glow up, starting to get other attention, either that you are, actively seeking out, or even just that this person is kind of just picking up on, they're perceiving, maybe they're watching you from afar. And it's really kind of like lighting a fire under them to get with the program, to kind of like move out of this energy of just willfulness and stubbornness, they're seeing you in this situation, even if this is kind of like a failure to launch, or there's a lot of unactualized potential, that this is kind of like, this is something that they'll regret this if they don't take a step towards you, if they don't explore this further, if they don't express these feelings, or at least make some effort to clean up whatever has happened in the past. There's a sense of they don't want to have to like watch you be enjoyed by somebody else. These feelings won't go away. It's something they're starting to sit with. They're starting to come to peace with that. And that sense of kind of like settling into it has opened up this ability of them to see how working in tandem with these energies, working towards some kind of resolution or some kind of evolution, it's of service to the two of you. It actualizes to the greatest capacity this kind of like gift or blessing, this very unique sensation that accompanies having met you, what has been awakened and what has been stirred within them. So they're starting to really kind of take steps in an opposite direction, maybe not necessarily at the point of ready to run back towards you, but rather than kind of like being in this energy of just stuffing down and suppressing, they're starting to see things from a different angle, and starting to almost lean into this energy of regret over what has happened, and kind of how fear has sort of led them astray in this circumstance. So I'm going to read the letter from their higher self now and see, what does this person want to tell you right now. You are worth more than just half-filled promises of forever. I regret the lukewarm love I have shown to you so far. Though I have taken measures to present an unbothered stance to you, inside I am on pins and needles as I wonder if today will be the day in which I reveal my true feelings to you. I don't know why I am wavering. I sense the disappointment in your spirit, which grows daily and replaces the hopefulness I once sensed from you when our journey began. The sorrow you try to mask from me cannot be hidden completely. I read my shortcomings profoundly in your eyes. I know that the longer I take to evolve with you, the more likely it becomes that you will outgrow me completely, and I will be left standing in the place of pause I have created, watching as you walk away, regret hanging heavy in and around me. The excuses I have for these delays are paper thin. They lacked substance from the start, and I suspect it was only me who for a time truly believed in them. I must appear so foolish to you and the heavenly hosts that watch this scenery struggle to unfold. Your authenticity has been greeted by murkiness, and I fear you will be someone I cling to in hindsight. I have a tendency to realize things a little too late. Please don't stop your evolution on account of my procrastination. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got F, L, S, N, T, V, K, C, J, P, I, and E. So those are your messages, and that is your channeled letter. I hope that the reading resonated with you and that you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading or a personalized channeled letter, I offer both through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and as I said, channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there is a little different from here. I do pick-a-cards and general energy readings, but it is related to they are related to subjects such as spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out, and I thank you for your support over there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose this quartz point along with this letter, which I'll read in just a minute. I'm going to start with a few oracle cards to get kind of a quick energy check-in with this person and take a look at some of the major themes that they are addressing or dealing with right now. Okay, we have purpose. I know what I am here to do. Envy. I am the same as everybody, but with different challenges. Service. I feel good when I can help others. And surrender. I can release my need to control. So this actually feels like the energy of somebody who is really pulling themselves up out of a transitional period in their life. They may have gone through some kind of major upheaval, some kind of deep shadow work, some sort of a glow up that they have been embarking upon, hard work within themselves to change their life for the better. reflection on experiences that they've had, losses and victories of the past. And there's a sense of being very determined to alchemize these things into wisdom, not just for themselves, but in a way to almost give back to others. A sense of introspection that is taking place at this time that is accompanied with this light, almost this sense of knowing that to continue along this path of struggle within self, to do this heavy lifting, to do this shadow work, to really face themselves in a way, it not only sort of renders the ability to change their circumstances by taking a different approach to themselves, getting to know themselves, working through some of these blocks within. They have the ability to approach challenges, maybe challenges in their life in general, challenges with intimacy, challenges with partnership, challenges with love, whatever that looks like, challenges in the circumstance with you, from a place of empowerment rather than lack. And there's a sense of doing this work for themselves first and foremost, but also a lot of that is with the intention, for some of you, of being able to provide proof and evidence of change when this person returns. If this is like a no contact situation, they feel to have moved out of some kind of like darkness, some kind of heaviness, some kind of a pity party, and they're really becoming motivated to change. It feels like a lot of this may have to do with like changing their physical environment, changing their health, changing their wellness, something about these like day-to-day circumstances within. It's these physical transformations that are kind of rippling inside, and it's creating more of a sense of them being able to tackle some of the things that they had just taken for granted as like aspects of their shadow, bad habits that they had, sort of a repeating series of patterns as far as like love and loss is concerned, that as they're getting the energy moving, as they're getting that flowing, as they're bringing in kind of this freshness into their material world, it's clearing up a lot of debris within themselves. With that is not only, this understanding of like things that may have seemed very, very difficult or very sort of deeply ingrained within them. It's becoming easier to sort of face these things. They may have been scared to look at their reflection, scared of their own personal darkness, and they're actually finding that it's still uncomfortable, but it's not as tough as they had thought it was. And so it's building this sort of momentum and enthusiasm of like, I can do this. I really can exact this change. Starting to also see kind of like different ripples in all of this process in the material world, like their relationships with other people, their interactions, maybe the abundance they're calling in for themselves. All of that is on the upswing to where it's like self-motivation to continue along this process. And with that is kind of this, almost every epiphany or aha moment they have, it's almost the sense of this could be more useful to other people than just to myself. For some of you, this may even be where they've engaged in some kind of like a self-help practice, maybe very quietly. Maybe they just picked up a book or a workbook, or they're listening to a podcast, or like subscribing to somebody who's a motivational speaker. They may be listening to like subliminals or affirmations even while they sleep, and it's doing something. It's having an effect energetically speaking. They're feeling better. They're looking better. Things are changing in the internal and outside kind of world for them. And it's really it's creating the sense of enthusiasm of, this is a path I want to continue down. This is a road worth following. This is something that in some way may connect to like a higher purpose. This may have even been for a lot of you, people who didn't question their higher purpose. They were just, I'll have a career, I'll make money, I'll put food on the table, I'll have a roof over my head. I'm therefore fulfilling the purpose of my life. They may not have asked sort of these deeper questions about like meaning and the nature of what is being contributed. Is it all kind of like self-motivated, or is there kind of this energy of being a change for a force for positive change in the world around them? All of this feels to be something that's kind of like it's unfolding for them. They're starting to look at more than just their own immediate needs and wants. They're starting to look at more than just surface level concerns. For some, they're really coming into a space of alignment of wanting to like share and be an advocate for some kind of like a practice. Maybe it's a health practice. Maybe this is a diet. Maybe this is again like a some kind of like motivational speech or speaker, or even like stuff with law of attraction and manifestation, where they're experiencing very positive results, and it's raising their vibration to a point where they're wanting to be this contagious higher vibration to those around them. with that, it feels like is kind of this knowing that as they improve their situation, it improves the odds of being able to, be kind of like the sunshine in your life, or to bring, happy experiences, happy memories to you, to kind of counteract any sort of difficulty or friction that you'd faced. If this is somebody that you're not in like a separation from, you're still currently dealing with, maybe even like a crush situation, there's a sense of them improving their self-esteem, and that it's making them feel more empowered, more capable to open up and express deeper feelings towards you. There's a sense of almost like putting you on a pedestal, perhaps even just vibrationally, like you are outshining them in a certain way, and it's really they're kind of picking up the pace with starting to better themselves, and it's bringing them closer to that point of not just seeing you as something unattainable that must be kind of like kept at arm's length, or any kind of lack that had led to sort of like bitterness or resentment or envy in their part. They're doing other things. They're doing something that is like raising that vibration, and they're starting to find themselves like on a level playing field with you, to where the connection's not so intimidating. You're not so intimidating. They're feeling confident in this energy of like the idea of approaching you, surrendering to these feelings, opening up about these feelings, partnering with you perhaps to grow, to develop, to explore these feelings, or maybe even sort of like partner up with you in terms of some like higher purpose or calling. A very like somebody's on a very inspired journey at this point in time, and is making these very precise changes in their life, which is sort of inspiring them to bigger and things that are way outside of their comfort zone, that maybe previously or in the last cycle or even just somewhat recently had been unfathomable to them. It had felt out of reach, felt too difficult, felt like too hard of work or an impossible task. And there's now this kind of openness where they're stepping into that terrain instead of like a black and white yes or no. They're really sort of operating in this gray area of what if and possibilities. So I'm going to read the channeled letter from their higher self right now and see what does this person want to tell you right now. Three simple words are jumbled up in my throat. This feels bigger than the definition of love that can be contained within the barriers of logic. I am reaching for the courage to, with a simple utterance, break the stillness so that the embers of passion can once again take in air and breathe their way to life. Your energy teases me and encourages the child within to forgo its tantrums and terror, and to trust in the power of new beginnings, even at this stage of the game of life. I'm sorry for playing with time. I should not have gambled our future, and I am trying to make up for these delays as quickly as I can. It seems my back was turned only for a moment, and you managed to drift oceans away. Now that I recognize who you are, I must give everything I have to conquer the gravity within that holds me fast to this fixed position as you continue to grow into the full radiance you were always meant to inhabit. You inspire and thrill me and move my heart in indescribable ways, even after all these years. Your self-created joy coaxes me out from hiding. I heal just by witnessing your transformation. I am so nervous to open up these lines of communication, and I know peace can only be found by letting this love flow freely. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got J, Q, D, V M T F Z B I O and H. So those are your messages, and that is your channeled letter. I hope that the messages resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading or a personalized channeled letter, I offer both through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and as I said, channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there is a little different from here. I do pick-a-cards and general energy readings, but the subjects that I cover are related to various topics on spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 4. You chose this quartz point along with this letter, which I will read in just a minute. I'm going to start with a few oracle cards just to get a general overview of some of the themes that this person is dealing with at this point in time. Okay, we have regret. I know that I cannot change the past. Worry. I am learning that worry doesn't change an outcome. Pride. I love myself and I see myself in everyone. And empathy. I am open to seeing both sides of the situation. So this feels to be somebody that's in a process of like self-forgiveness at this point in time. The idea of empathy can tie into the tables having been turned on them in some capacity. Something may have happened that has made it very apparent to them through first-hand experience, something that they put you through. It's an energy here of being able to see your side of the story at this point in time, whereas in the past they may have been very much in a projection sort of energy, having a difficult time kind of accepting responsibility, accepting blame for something, operating out of like pride and ego, for example. There's been a humbling almost, something that has really shifted that perspective, something where they're feeling almost that they had unfairly judged you, or the caliber of the connection, the nature of their own feelings maybe had been very sort of like mistrusting about those, a sense of kind of like lack, or even a lot of kind of heartbreak or disappointment or embitterment rather, from circumstances and disappointments they'd experienced in the past that had been carried over into this situation, where you were almost kind of like held to blame for ways in which somebody prior to you, or people prior to you, had been very careless with this individual's emotions in a manner, almost like they came into the connection very closed off, skeptical, or guarded about the nature of love in general. There was almost not even a fighting chance to really, for this connection to get off the ground thoroughly. If this is a situation that's kind of somebody you're dealing with right now, you may have really hit a wall in the situation where they are just kind of like, they're clamming up, they're going within themselves. They have, maybe sort of like stopped the forward progression, the unfolding, the development of the situation. And it may be something where You've been really in your head. What did you do wrong? What happened? What has sort of like changed the course of events in this circumstance? And it feels like they have definitely collided in some manner with this wounded aspect of themselves. They've needed to take a detour off in another direction in order to reflect and heal. And it feels like something where they're very slowly coming to this awareness of some aspect within themselves that is almost like it's a prohibition or it's a wall to experiencing healthy and reciprocal love, which may have been something they've been trying to call in their life. And, you know, everything was kind of going fine up to a certain point in time. And then again, that sort of like wall is hit. It almost feels that if it's, whether this is like total no contact or somebody you're dealing with where there's kind of been a stall out, there's been like a roadblock, this is a very necessary kind of pause, a reflection period. This doesn't feel like somebody, as much as they may be sort of like stonewalling, very like in their ego, in their pride, not wanting to talk about it, not wanting to like open up about that. They're in regret to a certain capacity about this reaction, but it's almost like it was a trigger mechanism behind that wall, behind that kind of like cold exterior, or where they've sort of pulled back, gone into their shell in a certain manner. You know, they are exploring these feelings. It's not like this retreat has freed them from the acute nature of whatever has been triggered or instigated. If it's like total no contact situation, this is not a circumstance that is out of sight, out of mind. It feels like there have been things that have brought back up to the surface in perhaps a very sort of painful way that has led to regret. The energy of kind of like where they were operated from, this almost like wounded warrior stance, and how they might have almost done to you what was done to them. They were careless with your feelings in the same way somebody else prior to you was careless with their feelings. And it may have come back around to them in another form where now it's sort of like they're full circle. The wool has been pulled off their eyes, and they are really sort of like they're seeing that full picture of sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, or like the embodiment of hurt people. And it's something that there's like this worry at this point, like, how do we come back from this point? How do I apologize for this? How do I even kind of like fix this within myself? They're just at the point of like being saturated in that, feeling that very deeply. Not yet, it doesn't feel like at the point of strategy as far as how to make change in this situation, but it's a very necessary component of like viscerally sitting in this energy, confronting their own reflection, to be able to in the future bring something of substance to you by way of an apology, by way of expressing that deep regret, that heartfelt regret, rather than just empty words. If this is somebody you're currently dealing with, again, they don't feel at the point of like letting down that wall, letting you in, having that discussion, but they're sitting and kind of just like facing their own darkness. They're sitting in that. They're in that bed that they've made for themselves. It is not comfortable at this point in time, but it's necessary. It feels like if this connection is to transcend to the next level, if that wall comes down and it's not just going to be like a repeat of this sort of banging around into one another's trauma going forward until you both decide to call it quits, this stage of like the two of you being in separate corners, even if you're still dealing with one another, and just kind of that distance, that energetic divide, is very necessary so that they can really recognize within themselves what stands in the way of leaning further into the nature of this partnership and the full actualization of what's possible between the two of you. So a bit of kind of like confronting their own shadows, confronting their own demons at this point in time, learning to kind of forgive themselves, learning to sort of like ease up on themselves at this point in time, which is kind of it's that doorway, it's that opening to being able to kind of return towards you, lean back into this, invest more from a heart-centered place, from a place of balance and clarity within, rather than kind of like bringing all of the debris of this baggage, these kind of like long held wounds, or these sort of like blocks internally within themselves that prevent them from perceiving and giving and receiving in a healthy and reciprocal manner, sort of a pure vibration of emotional exchange with you. So I'm going to read the channeled letter from their higher self, and let's see, what does this person want you to know at this point in time? I feel you so near to me that it's as if your very essence is braided within my own. The world sees two people, but truly we are one imperfect and holy expression. I still don't know how to define this concept of us, so I lean into the realm of unspoken certainty instead. In this material plane, words must accompany the love which surges and evolves in the darkness between us. And so please know, communication is coming. There is so much beauty left to uncover between us, and I too am tired of feeling the cold stillness, which has been necessary and is now due to be thawed. What shall revive between us is imbued by the countless hours of silent vigil we have attended to in spirit with one another along these separate roads. We have grown stronger apart, and it's time to merge now into the next manifestation of the embodiment of love that emanates from our conjoined soul. Thank you for keeping the mementos of recognition safe from the fire which burned beyond the sanctuary you created inside for the hope of us united. Thank you for not abandoning me along with those outdated versions of yourself. Truly, we fit together on every occasion. Thank you for not letting my fear deter you. Thank you for becoming our way home. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got P, K, F, V, S, E, T, U, M, and G. So those are your messages, and that is your channeled letter. I hope the messages resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading or a personalized channeled letter, I offer both through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and as I said, channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there is a little different from here. I do pick-a-cards and general energy readings, but the subjects that I cover are related to various topics of spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.